Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/JustNoMil. In today's episode, MIL announced the birth of my daughter. MIL says the meanest things. When JNMIL sent a letter after 5 months NC. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. MIL announced the birth of my daughter. I gave birth to our second daughter July 1st. It was an extremely traumatic birth. She ended up needing to be pulled out with forceps because it would have taken too long for your staff to have things ready for a C-section. My daughter and I both almost died. She was stuck and in distress and I was hemorrhaging. DH called and informed everyone what had happened and that both of us were going to be okay. We were informed by the DR that it would probably be best that we don't have another baby, or if we do it will need to be a planned C-section. DH is done. He doesn't want to see me go through anything like that again. We spent 48 hours in the hospital, came home and were settling in. When I got a text message from an old coworker congratulating me on the arrival of our new baby girl. She had seen a post on Facebook. Turns out MIL had taken it upon herself to announce the arrival, name and every detail of our new baby. I was livid. This is my last baby and I wanted to be able to go about announcing her arrival in my own way and own time. We had no plans of doing it anytime soon. Wanting to take our time to come to terms with what had happened and enjoy and bond with our new baby before announcing her to the world. I took 2 days to draft a message to MIL. I asked her to take down her post and to refrain from making any more posts regarding our family without first discussing it with us. We had a conversation with her before the birth of our first daughter, laying out that we didn't want our personal information or information about our kids being out on social media. MIL is bringing other family members into it, calling DH and Sael yelling and swearing, saying I have a grudge against her. I am at the point where if she isn't willing to handle this like an adult, I will not allow her access to our kids. There have been many other issues in the past with her overstepping or completely ignoring boundaries. DH is completely on my side and is also upset with his mother. But he is used to this kind of behavior from her and is kind of desensitized to it. If anyone asks, I didn't have a grudge before, but I do now. She knew we didn't want our information posted for everyone to see, yet she goes and posts MY birth announcement before we even had a chance to settle in. So yeah, she's on my sh*T list now, and deservedly so. She's not getting any information from now on unless she sincerely apologizes for overstepping. Not overreacting. You nearly died, but she's playing the victim for grandma points. So true. Anytime yelling and swearing comes into play, cut off contact. Nobody has the right to do that. It's abuse. You've just been through hell and back and are in a very fragile state, therefore such abusive ilk are best kept away from you until you feel strong enough to endure their awfulness. If that takes months or longer, oh well. Congrats on the new arrival, and I'm sorry it was so traumatic. All the best. Congrats on your new baby girl. I'm sure she's beautiful and it's good to read. You are both recovering. No. You are not overreacting. Agree with the commenter who said report MIL to FB. As for her yelling/swearing, accusations of grudges and calling the family, well, as she escalates into full Darvo mode, she'll likely give you and DH a basket of reasons to impose consequences, like zero access for 2022. Maybe we rethink it in 2023, but maybe not. This sub has great resources for dealing with narc behaviors. I've found them helpful. And what your JN did was despicable. She reads like a garbage dump of a person. I'd be NC in a heartbeat, and if she wants to sling swear words around, she'll be cussing into the void. Best wishes, Op. So sorry you're dealing with this BS when you should be focusing on your health and your new LO. You have not only ignored our boundary/rule about not sharing our kids' personal information on social media, but you have robbed us of the special experience of sharing the news about our child. Not only did you take that from us, you also did it while we were all recovering from a traumatic experience. We'll be taking a break from our relationship for a bit to cool off from how upset we are at you. We will expect an apology at some point if you would like this break to remain temporary. Does she not want to see her grandkids ever again? Because that's how she gets to never see her grandkids again. You hold all the leverage. When she's ready to talk like an adult with me, she is going to be made aware that if she keeps it up, she will be losing access to our family. I would tell your MIL that I hope that it was worth it to her to post your child's birth announcement behind your back, because that will be last one. She will now be the last person to learn anything about your children because she has lost all access to them going forward. MIL actions meet consequences. If you have not done so already, have a Ring camera installed on your front door and cameras outside. If, for whatever reason, she has a key to your house, immediately change the locks. You will need to figure out who will become her flying monkeys and will need be put on a low information diet. Lock down your social media accounts tightly. Congratulations on the birth of your daughter. Ban her from seeing the baby for 60 days. Tell her if she acts up during that 60-day window, the ban will be extended. And that includes messages sent through FMs that she'd better muzzle a sale or she's never going to see that baby. I don't think 60 days is enough. I suggest 6 months or after baby has had all her vaccinations. Info diet. No pictures, no milestones, nothing. She can't cross boundaries with info she doesn't have. But it's not enough to restrict photos and information from MIL. You have to restrict it from anyone who would willing give it to MIL, thinking she has a right to see pics of grandchildren, or who could be strong-armed / manipulated by MIL into giving it to her. You might be able to cut off DH's entire family this way, but you would also need to strictly warn your family, OP, that they should never give info / pics to MIL or anyone in DH's family. Not a fun circus, but the only way to cut MIL off from your life. MIL says the meanest things. I'm stuck on a family trip with my mother-in-law. I've been very low contact with her for the last 2 years, but really starting setting a boundary this last year. This trip has been hard for me because I cannot escape her and her awful comments. She is awful for my mental health, and I do not like the person I am around her because I have to be defensive. When I was trapped inside alone with her, she got the courage to ask me why I blocked her on Facebook. Before I could even answer, she says, DH says you get upset when I post pics of baby. I have an 18-month-old. To which I told her that yes, it upsets me because all you do would take 100 pics of him, then flaunt him all over Facebook and don't even ask my approval. She then told me that she has rights as a grandma and can post pics of my son if she wants. My MIL kept digging and asked why we didn't have a better relationship, and I basically flipped out on her and called her out on all her poor behaviors over the years, from making demands for our wedding to making awful comments and blaming me for my son's birth defect. I told her that she says mean and hurtful things and that I set a boundary with her to protect me and my son, and whatever relationship she has with my husband is up to them. She then gaslit me and said that she doesn't remember doing or saying any of those things and that I'm too sensitive and need to move on. I'm so done with this woman. Sweetie, the second she said right, she changed the entire dynamic. You need to have a very serious talk your partner, and I hope you nope out of any vacations aka prison time her again. She has rights as a grandmother. No lady. You have privileges as a grandmother, and those privileges can very easily be taken away. Like I told my JustNoMil right before I went and see with her, actions have consequences, and these consequences are the results of your actions. They think they can treat us however they want and say whatever they want and don't care about anything that we say regarding our kids, but when we speak up and set boundaries, it's a problem. And I love how they always play dumb. I don't know what you're talking about, or I didn't say that. She says she doesn't remember the things that she said / done, but says you're too sensitive and need to move on? Well, if that were true, then what do you need to move on from and stop being so sensitive about? Someone needs to get their head checked out. I really feel for you because I've been in your shoes. I'm sorry you're stuck with her on this trip. Good luck. I'm sorry, but it sounds like you also have an so problem. He told his mother that you get upset when she posts pics of your baby, so he's blaming you instead of backing you up on your boundary. You're not overreacting, and the moment she mentioned grandparents' rights she should get in see. Thread very carefully, but start in foo binder, and be ready to fight both her and your so for your baby. Literally go and see. Let your partner handle her BS. She then told me that she has rights as a grandma and can post pics of my son if she wants. She has no rights, only the parents do. She has a privilege that can be revoked anytime. If she does something you say no to, I get the pics taken down and put her in timeout or something. If she has no consequences, she'll keep on doing this. Narcs never remember the bad stuff, only the good, and will rewrite history whenever they can. I'd tell her one more pic posted on Facebook, and no baby for 1 month. Arguing about it gets you 2 months. If she didn't do or say any of those things, then what is there to move on from? She basically admits it while gaslighting you at the same time. Family trips, never again? She doesn't remember doing or saying any of those things. If she can't remember anything she says or does, then you probably shouldn't let her around your kid. Yeah, big red flag for me too. When JustNoMil sent a letter after 5 months in C. This happened a while back, but I was just thinking about it when talking to a friend about her JustNoMil. We went in C with all of SO's JN family. I never wanted to resume contact, so wanted time away from them to think and just spaced a breath. It was SO's birthday, the day of. We get an envelope in the post. They shouldn't have our address, so that was worrying, and it's a birthday card with a letter. The letter basically said that they had some gifts that SO's extended family, cousins, uncles, etc., had bought before our twins were born as congratulations on the new baby gifts, just some gifts for them. Now it's important to note we refuse all the many random gifts and things the JNs buy, and for general gift giving we asked for charity donations or adopt a tiger type things because we didn't need more clothes or toys, etc. The JNs hated this and refused. Jamil and JNBIL kept on about how they buy gifts to show love, didn't like it when we said the best way to show children love is respecting their parents. Anyway, letter comes. We read it. So I'd pissed because they couldn't just give him space, so that's pushed him back months and again wants nothing to do with them. I'm like, why when our children are almost 3 would we want gifts bought for newborn babies? The likelihood that any of these gifts apparently bought before they were born and before we put our boundaries in place about gifts are age appropriate for an almost 3 years old is slim. So brought it back up a week later questioning the same thing. Why would we want baby age gifts for almost 3 years olds? It just so happened SO's birthday, and this letter was after Christmas. It just so happened that prior to JustNoMil told us she donated £100 to an army-related charity and could prove it with the receipt, so we had to let her give the kids gifts, totally ignoring the whole giving donations instead of more crap we don't need. Also MIL forgot that she told us the year before how she always gives to X charity at Christmas because her dad was involved with the army. I just don't get it. I mean, I work with dogs, so I understand extinction bursts. What used to work doesn't, so you do it more and more intense until you get the outcome you expect. But come on, we are supposed to be an intellectual species. Do JustNoMil honestly not think we can see though this behavior, and do they not stop to think maybe it will make things worse? Don't respond. That's what she wants. Keeping on with what you are doing. Do this, i.e. don't respond. It makes them crazy not to know if you got it, opened it, read it, liked it, and decided the whole silly thing is over and now you want to be in touch again. I know, it's frustrating not to know what their response is to your non-response, but trust me, it is occupying way too much of their brain space and making them crazy. Take comfort in that. Do JustNoMil honestly not think we can see though this behavior, and do they not stop to think maybe it will make things worse? They don't, they really don't. In their minds, they're the saintly heroes of the story. They think they're the smartest, bravest, most honorable, etc. person in the world. They cannot fathom that what they're doing is toxic and destructive. I was talking about tantrums in toddler versus teenagers with someone the other day. The only difference is the size of the child throwing the tantrum. I also read a response recently that correlates. JustNoMil have the emotional maturity of a 3-year-old. Gross. Just trying to show you that you cannot go and see. It's time to step up your skills. Return to sender all mail, gifts, etc., even if you have to pay postage. Except no certified mail. Sorry. Thankfully, they haven't repeated it, and NC continues. Concerning getting things in the post, as you call it. Here in the States, we have the ability to refuse delivery for items which show up unwanted in the mail. I would suggest you do the same if possible if a letter upends your lives like this one did. Just one little trick to use for keeping the jackals at bay. You can just write delivery refused across the envelope and toss it in the nearest mailbox. The reason JustNoMil sent the letter to your so after 5 months in seed was because she decided that was more than enough time and she wanted to force contact. JNs honestly don't think you can see through this little gambit. They are the smart and in control ones, and you are just dumb kids. They do not stop to think that things might be worse. They believe you'll fold and give in because how could you stand to be in seed with their wonderfulness for that length of time? They have no capability for introspection at all. People who lie to you also lie to themselves. They lie to themselves so much and so often, they start believing their own lies. Reality and truth are what they create, facts mean nothing. Try to help Tor DH not twist himself in knots because of this. Talk about how NC is a process and he can't force them to do better, but setting boundaries will help him to attain some peace. Do JustNoMil honestly not think we can see though this behavior, and do they not stop to think maybe it will make things worse? No, they don't. To them, this is just how people interact. She can't see you two as adults, so she genuinely believes you two have as much sense as children and don't realize she's lying. Dogs have extinction bursts. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.